Hello. All right. We are cooking. Thomas, how's Miami?
Oh, dude, it's sad.
Yeah, I
Sad
could
as
feel it.
fuck.
I can feel it, man. I could feel it from. I'm sad too. I'm sad too.
It's crazy. It's scary.
It's pretty fucking wild, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty wild. Pretty wild. It's a pretty interesting place. I always find that place fucking interesting. Every time I'm there, I'm like, people like this shit.
Dude, I love it.
People like this shit. People like a lot of weird shit. People live in Miami. That's the craziest part.
Yeah, I'm like, should I move here?
I know, you should move there. It looks good on you.
Oh my god, dude, it's insane. Like just being surrounded by so many people that are like absolutely gorgeous all the time. You're like, oh, this is terrifying.
Well, you lived in like buttfuck Methville. You pay like $1 a month for rent.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think Denver, Colorado was that, but apparently it is compared to this.
I don't know. Denver, Colorado sounds like a bunch of girls with BPD and a drinking addiction.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
And it sounds good because there's like so much intensity when you finally meet a girl. Like, you know, that like toxic intensity? You're like, you don't even have a
Yeah.
personality anymore, and neither does she. You guys are both just like fucking vibrating low frequencies that like to come.
Yeah,
And like you come way too
there's
fast too.
there's a lot of people that their personality is like skiing or going to the mountains or doing outdoor activities is their entire personality in Colorado.
That sounds terrible. I know those people, and they wear these fucking Birkenstock sandals, and they don't take
Yep.
showers for some weird reason. Fucking terrible. I watch
Yeah.
out for people that wear
Yeah.
sandals.
And then you come here and it's like, well, I don't know if these people have personality either, but
It's a different kind of nonsense. I think you're recognizing that, like, wherever you go, there it's at. Wherever you are, there it's at. Yeah. They come with you, Thomas. You know, it's not just as a different manifestation and a new title, but it's ultimately the same thing. You know, you're looking for individuality, connection at a soul level, something real. You know.
yeah, which is like why, I realized how fucking sad it is, like being here or how sad I am.
I
And
like
I'm
what you just
why
did
do I
there.
wanna
Nice
be
work.
here?
Well done. Well done. I like how you first like how sad it is, now how sad I am. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. That was like black belt level, man. Good work. So yeah, what's it like for you, knowing a lot of your struggles, what we spoke about the other day, and kind of seeing how, these things play into each other. I think you're working with a lot more than you give yourself credit for.
It's it's been interesting to see like being sad, but also kind of realizing that it's not in and of itself a problem. Like it just kind of like you said, it goes with you wherever it is, right? So like I can go to Miami, I could go to fucking Las Vegas, wherever, and I'm still with me.
Mm-hmm.
So at a certain point, kind of stop running.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also realizing that, like, I kind of projecting everything onto other people.
Yeah, I'm noticing that too. You're like outwardly interacting with your internal issues. And there's a problem with that, is that there's always your ego about what you're not, even though that's literally everything that you are. And so what is that?
There's like a lot of like and think about it like outwardly. There's like a lot of
Anger?
blame, anger and blame.
Well, there's anger, there's resentment, there's rage, there's hurt, there's sorrow. Yeah. And yeah, there's somebody pointing a finger right now. I think it's good that you can recognize that. So I think you're ready to face this angry child. What are you pointing a finger at? And also, let's get more in touch with the anger because it's there. There's some sort of there is a hurt. There's hurt. That's why it's important to feel anger. You get to see yourself in your pain. Yet you just need to know where that pain is, where the pain was. You have a hard time being able to get to that in general. You kind of start going into this, oh, I don't want to be a victim. But let's look at the areas where you have been. And let's see how it's not this right now. And you could get to the pain. And pain, in a lot of ways, to be able to feel pain, you have to be in an extraordinary state of compassion and understanding. And like, ask yourself a real question. Do you want to understand that angry child?
Yeah, I think I struggle to even accept that there is the angry child.
Yeah. Even when you say it, how do you feel about that?
I'm like, no, that's not me. It's not me.
Really? Really? Even when you're talking to me right now, what do you feel about it? Is it real? Is it just something I'm bringing up?
Like it feels like there was like a clearly defined point that I don't know what it was of like becoming an angry child.
When did that happen for you? I'm curious.
I think like when we moved, when I was like 7, we moved from Virginia to Maryland.
Yeah, did you have friends?
Yeah, I like in Virginia, I was kind of the man. I was like voted Mr. Chatterbox in first grade. Like
Mr. Chatterbox?
Mr. Chatterbox, yeah.
Chatterbox, nice.
Yeah, talked to all the girls. Like was like all the report cards were like a leader in class. Like always doing the right stuff. And then moved to Maryland. Became
all at
super
7
shy.
years old?
Say again?
All around
Yeah.
7 years old.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of wisdom here, man. All right, keep going.
And then became like super shy, like didn't want to talk to anybody, like hid. And then started to like, I think I started to act out and started to like do things for attention via like being a class clown.
Mm-hmm.
Getting in trouble, not like crazy trouble, but you know, the kind of trouble where you're like, all right, this kid's kind of a little knucklehead.
Yeah, okay. How old are you then?
Probably from like 11 all throughout high school.
Okay, well, this is like very interesting because we don't really get to talk much about your childhood, but I remember you said around 8 years old, there was something deeply traumatic that happened.
Yeah, I think like 8 or 9 years old. That's why I got molested.
Okay. So that's interesting. There's like a serious like contrast here, you know, and what's happening is I think you're forgetting the notion of the importance of safety in relationship to self-expression. That you had an environment that you associated safety to. That's why a lot of your expression and your essence could come out. You're a naturally playful, sociable person. It's part of who you are. That's why sales suits you so well. You're not like learning a new skill set. No, you just learned a few new words and put that into who you are. That's about it. And maybe, in fact, maybe those few words were actually more who you are. And then, like, look, you get moved out of town. There's a lot of anger behind this. Well, you're protecting yourself too.
Yeah, I remember my folks asked, or my dad, like one day after school, we were like walking home. He would like, he would scoop me from school. We would walk home because his elementary school was like, I don't know, a 10, 15-minute walk away from where we lived. And one day we stopped and he was like, he said, hey, so we're thinking about moving. Like, do you want to move? How do you feel about it? And I was like, yeah, I don't really want to move. I like it here. And then we ended up moving. And I think that might have developed like some.
Oh, let's play it out. Let's play it out, right? Hey, how do you feel about moving?
Not good. Don't want to move.
Don't want to move. All right, yeah, fuck that. We're gonna move.
Yeah, that's basically what happened.
Yeah, look, of course there's bigger reasons, but let's get to the hurt, right? Like, what we like to do is bypass. We kind of go, dude, it's fine. I was just a little kid. Not everything revolves around me. Fuck that. I had to move to Virginia. Fuck Virginia. Got to move there. But look, man, you got to understand that a lot of your narratives and your repressed anger confirmed a lot of things. Not only did I get taken out of my childhood home or the place where I was developing a lot of my essence and connecting to myself and becoming what I would like to become, I was taken into another environment that was less safe to the point where I was molested. Right? Didn't happen in Virginia, but now these things they're not true. It's a part of it's true, but we have to work through an embodiment of the experience so that we can get to things like forgiveness, acceptance. We can actually start with acceptance, right? Or actually, how about this? Arrogance, we can start with arrogance, then maybe some ignorance, then maybe after some ignorance, a little bit of a breakdown. After a breakdown, maybe some acceptance. And then after some acceptance, maybe we can get to some forgiveness. So you see, it's a long journey, right? And most of it, the first four are not fun. And the hardest one is the breakdown part. But I think it's important to kind of talk about this because there's such an interesting memory you have of the situation, right? But there's also something that I think I notice you have a hard time with, safety in your expression. You're also recognizing another thing that are kids shy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not really.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Kids are very, very outgoing when given the appropriate safety. The world becomes a threat when there isn't the proper hearth, the proper heart, the proper care. They become less sociable. They start to go more into their head. They start to feel that there's something a problem with them. Totally natural. And by the way, you are correct. Both of you guys are right. Because it is normal for kids to be shy because most kids do not have safe homes. And I also started realizing, well, man, if you recognize how many people put a condition on their expression and you go out in the world and you see everybody else auditing themselves and you don't have a very good relationship with what you need to express, you're a very expressive person, Thomas. Both of you guys are very expressive people. And look, I think the notion of childhood is very interesting because now you're actually interacting with why would there be a lot of anger? Well, there's a lot of hurt. A lot of you feels like, what about my needs? They're completely dismissed. And so I hope you know that's kind of the notion of an angry child, is that their own needs are constantly dismissed. Well, do you think that would make somebody really, really angry? And not only that, every time you go to express yourself, you're misunderstood and demonized. And it's well, that's convenient because they probably don't have the tools to help you out anyways. So you're the problem. And of course, they're the people who are your caretakers. And if you want to play the game of blame, I think it's very fair to say that a child can point at a father. Have you ever seen a father point at a child? It's a little embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it doesn't even make sense. But let's be real, most people are children, having children, And so this is kind of the sobering reality part. You have a lot of familial struggles. There's a lot of things in childhood, and you're looking to build a family, but you have a lot of resistance to family because of what you're drawn to is so familiar, right? And you want to do what's right for yourself, and ultimately you also don't want to just attract the same hell that you left. And so, this wasn't the first time that happened. Did you end up telling anybody you were molested when you were younger?
When I was younger, no. I didn't tell anybody until I was probably 27, 28.
So I think this is very reflective of what real trauma is. It's a lack of safety of expression of these things. You understand? Well, you start thinking about why.
I didn't realize that it happened until I was probably 23 or 24. It was repressed. It was
well,
repressed
of course. What the fuck? You didn't feel safe enough to go home and tell your parents about those things. You have to understand that. You know how many kids don't feel safe in their own home and they are experiencing vigilance 24/7? It's a disproportionate amount of children. And what happens even when they come in with a broken arm? They look at their parents argue, they look at the chaos in the home, and they go, I'm not going to say anything that happened. Because I'm not safe with this expression. This expression is punished. By the way, you start thinking about what's the real trauma? I mean, the experience is part of life. There's going to be shit people out there. It's like you want to be able to go home and tell your parents you were bullied, you were molested, you were hurt, you fell. Right? I mean, like, yeah, then eventually you stop looking for safety, you stop looking for support, and in that you begin to look downward and avoid a lot of these hurts. The thing is that sometimes you have to like recreate the situation. Almost you're confirming the same underlying feelings. It's like, you guys think about what really creates shame is that you have to hide it. And that you can't go to the people closest to you and share those things. I noticed that even with my nephew is that I was one of the first people he shared any of his sexual development with. That was like a huge thing. I never had those conversations growing up. Because the sexual perversion in the house was off the fucking charts. Everything became so fucking dramatic in anything in relationship to sex. It was like vigilance would kick in the room. Like, hey, I touched my penis and white stuff came out. You know what that would be? A 3-hour lecture from my own mother about how it's a sin to do that and we should get you a prostitute. Yeah, okay, well that conversation's over. I'm gonna go find something that really reinforces these underlying beliefs. And of course, these conversations are generational because people don't just get to that fucking conclusion. Not in their lifetime. This shit's historical. So yeah, man, I mean, like, you need to first off incorporate safety in a level of safety and expression. What do you think reparenting is, right? By the way, what is reparenting? Foundational healing. It's in relationship to what we spoke about on Tuesday. It's foundational healing. A lot of your anger, a lot of your aggression, a lot of your hurt, a lot of your fear, a lot of your pain. Brother, I mean, like, you make so much more sense now. Those are all things you can express. Those are things that have cost you. You know, man, but you can't keep doing this anymore. You start like, you're at like the midway point, right? Continue on with these actions or to let them go and to surrender to life. Knowing that this is the best for myself. I could do that. I could let these go and aim to the best of myself. That's a sacrifice worth making. So I think that there's something very, 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 very important about this. Because you want to start creating safety with these expressions, right? You know what was really hard for me? To be able to communicate my resentments. Dude, I mean, I've written them down before, but I could tell you one thing. There's one way to transcendence and transformation. Through the mud. We all talk about it. I want to find the best version of myself. Well, then through the flames. Oh, come on. I want to become a king. Then into the pit. Oh! Right? Now, okay. I want to find God. Welcome to hell. Wait. No. And you're like fucking John Bernthal at the bottom of fucking about to watch his family die in the Punisher movie. Hey, let's be real though. Where do you think you find greatness? In the circus. Well, that's exactly where you find greatness. You're genius. You got to learn how to play with the biggest fools. That's how I found it. Look, I'm really grateful to God because I'm friends with that old friend again. I'm coming full circle in my life. And you could say, by the way, Thomas, how am I coming full circle again? I'm letting go of a lot. One of the first things you have to acknowledge in order to let go of a lot, your anger. Keep tabs. Be accountable. Recognize it's there. Have more conversations about it. See your reservations about the anger. And by the way, I hope you guys understand. If you actually understood yourself, you'd be like, man, the fact that I'm that angry makes so much sense. And you could say, well, you can get angry based off a few things. Love, betrayal, that's one of them. Having your needs constantly dismissed, having to explain yourself in relationship to actions that you did for other people that was genuinely to help them out. And now you're on your heels about an extension of your own love. That'll make you really fucking angry. Imagine having to do that. explaining to someone that you were helping them out, and it cost you to help them out, and now you're a problem for expressing that love. Oh, fuck me, I'm gonna punch the drywall. Are you kidding me? I'm the bad guy now? You're the one that asked me for help, and that cost me money to do that. And you might be a person who overcorrects in that regard and can't be seen as the bad guy, and so what do? Hey baby, I have 10 grand to help you out. I'm the boyfriend that saved you, right? Altruism. And so there's something very important about being able to be seen as the bad guy, because you could see yourself clearly. You're not looking to be any particular classification. You want to be able to see yourself as you are and understand that your truth is going to be misunderstood because you do not understand yourself. And maybe you should learn a little bit more about why you are so angry. Man, I'm edgy with women. Not just with women anymore, guys. People. Now, I didn't just realize that, of course, women really mirror that hurt because they show me my vulnerabilities most. But this is a collective issue. It shows up more with women. It also exists with men too. A lot of men I just don't keep close to me. For women, well, I mean, you kind of have to keep them close. But I think women represent that truth for men, is that like, you need to be willing to live with other people. Women are representative of that. You want to continue your life? Well, you need a woman in it. And then you're like, oh, well, fuck me. And if that's not representative of the unification, or at least the collectivity of mankind, that we are all deeply connected to each other. So, are you willing to go in the mud? Because when you start experiencing a lot of your anger, you start feeling things like resentment, bitterness. Bitterness is, by the way, a really hard thing to help people with. People that are bitter, they're not open to anything. Bitter people you can't access. Resentful, rageful, angry people. Have you seen a frustrated child? Right? They're just like, oh, don't know how to express themselves, right? There's a certain point where that frustration starts turning into anger, and then after that, resentment. Then after resentment, there's a level of hatred, pain. After that resentment, hatred, and pain, there's rage. Rage is usually the part of ourselves that we're scared of. It's like when we tap into it, it's just like we just start shaking. We just start shaking. Okay, now I want to get you guys more back on the ground because now it's getting a little too cerebral. Why are we doing this? I want you guys to give me the answer. Tell me the answer. Why would somebody face the regression? Why would somebody look at how angry they are? Why would somebody see themselves in their own hurt? Why would anybody do any of these things? Go ahead.
I mean, to some degree, to not be a mystery. To heal it in a way.
Okay, so we understand that there's no question about it. This is the only way you heal it. Right, and what does that mean to heal something?
I've been thinking about this image a lot, but to open it up, see all the complexities, and then suture it back up.
Mm-hmm. That's really well said. I like that. I like that visually. That's very powerful. There's a lot about healing that is fortifying. It builds the person higher. There's pieces of themselves that have been suppressed in pain. And through the pain, there is a return to the innocence of yourself. Have you ever realized that there's a certain point where you overcorrect? Like, okay, I was cheated on 3 times when I was 18. What did I lose? Well, I lost everything that was hurt. My innocence and my purity. Those things? Bye-bye. What did I become? Well, a talking head. An armored piece. And then, okay, where's my innocence and purity? Oh, well, it's in all of your pain. Well, how do you get to that? Well, there's a bunch of rage, anger, and hurt. And there's also a lot of resentment. And maybe I don't want to open up this door because I'm opening up to more pain of what was removed from me. I think if somebody can fully remember the child of who they were, they could see the future of their life. And what I mean by seeing the future, they could live its capacity out. That's why it's so important to be able to look back. Why is our foundation so reflective of our ability to build upward? And also, what do we really do when we investigate the depths of our shadows too? We actually increase our aim upward towards goodness, right? We start thinking about somebody who's willing to do and reach the depths of their heart, right? And the pain of their heart. What are they really aspiring towards? True love and building a foundation for it. By the way, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like, there's a lot I've healed. A lot I've healed. One of my coaches, she does some really cool stuff. She does like a lot of energy healing. Really, really cool girl. I think you guys would like her if you want to try her out. I recommend her to anybody because she's really gifted. You know, like she has her own terminologies to help you move through the same thing. But ultimately, if you guys want to know what really does the healing, is human connection. That's what does the healing, right? We understand healing to be a feminine characteristic, right? It's a component of the mother. We understand that to be exactly what helps somebody get better. Care. You guys know what it is to care? You know, it's very difficult to be guys like you. I mean that because you've suppressed your caring qualities. You guys understand the virtue of what it is to be a caring person? You see people. You don't pity people. You see people. And you become of service to people in the best way that you can be. Caring for people, it's just like there's an emotion and relationship to it. There's like it's not just like I want to help you, because that's sometimes in a lot of ways like you trying to like work your own shit through other people. No, but it's like there's a tremendous emotion in relationship to others, as if you would tend to yourself that way. You're almost seeing yourself in others, but you're connected to yourself, and you understand that like, man, that kind of suffering, you don't deserve that anymore. You know, I seek to better your life as much as I would better mine. I care, right? So there's something in relationship to actually maybe what you see in other people, like their potential. How could you not care about that when you see that clearly in somebody? For me, whenever I see it in anybody, I'm like, you in the groups. And they're like, well, I don't have the money. And it's like, I didn't ask in the groups. And they're like, okay, you're right. Because you see it too. I'm like, of course I fucking see it. I want to help you. So there's something very interesting about why would somebody investigate the pain and hurt and aggression and rage of their life? First and foremost is the easiest answer. It's true. It's true about you. It's there about you. And sometimes, I think that's the only answer we need, right? Somebody goes, why would I maybe accept a part of me that is societally repressed? Sensitivity, for example. Absolutely. That shit's assassinated in every individual. Why? You can't really control sensitive people that feel, because they have an emotional intelligence, which means that their consciousness exceeds the average individual. Hope you know that, by the way. When we talk about emotional intelligence, we all think about it as like a tactical thing, like you just understand people, high EQ. No, you are not easily influenced by other people. That's what it is to have the high emotional intelligence. Meaning when everybody goes, ah, you're like, I'm good. Well, because you have a consciousness, that's really what it is. Sometimes I hate how people reduce emotions to like, just like a thing. You gotta like break it down, it's like math. It's like doing fucking fractions. And they're like inner fractions, and if you have more of them, it's like more complex equations. Like, oh, boring. Why can't I just be ordinary? It's like, no, there's a spirit in you that's screaming to be awakened. That's real. What's up?
Do you know David R. Hawkins? Like maps of consciousness, like the levels of emotions and how they map onto, like each one has a score.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Like shame is at the bottom, it's like the lowest level of consciousness, all the way up to like enlightenment, which is like a 700 score.
Yeah, and this is why if I saw David Hawkins, I'd smack the fuck out of him. And I'd say, actually I wouldn't. He actually knows what he's talking about. I want to give you guys a little more nuance to that. I'd smack the fuck out of people that have taken David Hawkins and posted that shit in their room, like as if they're trying to cure people of these human emotions. Yeah, I'm very familiar with the vibrational chart he created. Are you aware of what the highest vibration is?
Well, it's like love, and then enlightenment is like the highest of the high.
So the highest one was not just enlightenment; it was being, the state of is.
Yeah.
And that's the state. That's the authentic state. And now, for example, have you ever been authentically grieving, and you haven't been resisting the grief? Have you ever been authentically in shame? Your vibration increases. You're embodying the highest vibration in that. Look, there's like something really weird about what people are told, because a lot of people don't understand things. They don't understand things. They don't. You have to understand that that's going to be even something I recognize, because that's most of any of my media managers tell me, they're like, people don't understand these things. And I say, yes, I know they don't understand it, but I'm not going to tell them something that conforms to their juvenile understanding of it. I want to tell them something, and this is where I need help for in my life, that allows them to elevate their consciousness immediately with whatever that is, to investigate it further. That there's something they need to do for themselves to show up for. They have to do it. It's like, I don't know if you guys ever played a really good video game. Name a really good video game you played. Halo. Okay, Halo's not an easy game. It's not for chumps. There's something really beautiful about all really good games. Dark Souls, you know what Dark Souls is about? The game's metaphor is fuck you. You are the biggest boss. The game's not that hard. You just gotta get good. That's what it is, right? What is it to get good? Well, it's like, remember that your biggest enemy is you, and that you lack patience. You look at things and you wanna just quickly get down to the bottom of it. You're ultimately a glutton for punishment, and you take virtue in how many times that you could fail at something, or how many times you could lose. And so the game is like really a reflection of your own character. It's like, I love those kind of games, right? Where it's like, how many times am I willing to die in order to get better at this thing? And what am I dying in relationship to? Like, am I dying because the boss is hard, or because I'm just not quite getting it just yet, right? And so I love those games. But there's something about all works of art, as they demand another person to show up, to question things at a deeper level. That the certain point of consciousness where we look at the burning bush and we question, why does this bush burn and is not consumed? That is the elevation of our consciousness. We all need those experiences. When I saw Halo 2, I just saw a cool guy in a cool suit of armor fighting cool aliens with a sick-ass soundtrack that my older brother plays, and I want to be just like my older brother. My whole life I wanted to be just like my older brother. He was the coolest person to me. He was my hero. I really think that's a part of our innocence, by the way. There's also a lot of pain in that. Have you ever seen people fall from grace? Have you ever met your heroes? There's a loss in that, right? Have you ever recognized that, your father was your first hero, and then you realize he's an alcoholic with a porn addiction? What do you think happens? There's hurtful realities, right? Okay, if you can't feel your pain, you lose your innocence. Are you guys familiar with the innocence of what it is to be a child holding your father's hand and to look up to him and be like, that's my hero? That's more for you than it is even for him. Do you think he needs to hear it? No. Why is it important for a child to feel that in relationship to someone that's in their likeness? They could see their potential, the hero in them. What happens when that image dies? You're like, there is no fucking hero. That's the beginning of becoming a hero. Those words are really transformative words. There is no fucking ideal, and you throw it down to the ground. There is no God. And then you start looking in the places where you'll actually find him. You're not climbing up hills talking to Tibetan monks. Have you noticed where people transform in their life? They say two words: fuck it. Yeah. I know everybody that's pursuing the ideal, but they remove all of themselves from the mud of their life. The ideal is nothing but a fantasy that removes them from the current unideal of their life, where they lack God. Maybe they should find him. Well, I pay my taxes. I go to church every week. I stay away from temptation. Where's my model wife and my 7 figures? I mean, have you ever thought about the fact that you were emotionally abused since the age of 6, that you've been indoctrinated and you haven't really questioned anything real, and that you're entitled and you have the maturity level of a 7-year-old, and you haven't grown up past that maturity of a 7-year-old because you were actually hurt that much when you were younger? Okay, and then you start going, well, fuck God. And I go, thank you, because your definition of God was so reductive. The individual you were born to be died in that world that you created, and the best thing that ever happened was not getting the things that you thought you wanted, you juvenile brat. There's life. And by the way, I've seen people in that position go, and they push down their false God, their false image, and it shatters. And in that, their life is born. Something's interesting about that for me, because when I talk about getting to pain through rage, what we're really talking about is the necessary process of returning to our innocence. Have you guys ever seen the face of your child? Not because I know all of you have children, and I think that in a lot of ways it's going to really help you connect with yourself a lot more. I don't think you're very connected to your children. There's a level of distance from them. And it's just like not a fun thing to hear. It's not a fun thing to hear, man. I don't want you to think that that was a nice thing to hear, but I want you to feel that. Because it like, that's exactly what just happened right there. But sit with it for me, okay? For your evolution, sit with that. You're not that connected to your children. Yet, there's a child in you, and there's the face of that child and his innocence. Have you ever seen the innocent face of a child? There's something about it that is just the person. It's the person, right? The first time you ever seen a pair of boobs, that face? Do you ever notice the purity in relationship to that face? Have you ever been hit with a reality that's more beautiful than you could have ever imagined? And it's like you're a child again. You get to see the face. Have any of you guys ever seen the movie Hellboy? So they had the Hellboy, the Golden Army, which is the one that came after. There's something I really liked about the character. That he's very, very human. And Ron Perlman, God bless him, is somebody who brought that humanity to the character that made him a favorite to everybody. Ron Perlman brought him to life, because Ron Perlman is Hellboy, right? But of course, like, sure, he's not Hellboy. Hellboy's just a character, but no, he is. And I think that's also true for Iron Man. Like, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. Who's James Bond? Sean Connery. Well, I'll tell you something, that these characters were very much the opposing force in order for them to access deeper truths of themselves. That's the thing. I really think acting is such an important transformative gift for every individual. Like, why is it that we are called to certain characters? Because they call to something in us that could be brought to life, and we can embody that truth in reality. We don't just need to be an actor anymore. We could be you. And so, the first movie was very much a coming-of-age story of a boy turning into a man, right? And the second movie I really liked because it was actually a story about a man becoming a father. And there's like an evolution of that. Have you guys ever noticed people that skip steps in their life? They want to go from boy to father? Oh, good luck. It kind of goes like boy to young adult to man to father, in that order. It's like people that skip steps, they're like, I want to be married and follow the will of God. And then they have like 2 kids and they marry a narcissistic psychopath and she's just as abusive as he is. And then now she's fucking partying at the club at 30. Starting her new entrepreneurial online website. And the guy, oh, don't even get me started. He's like a fucking floating phantom. And she's like this hyper idealistic woman and he's so disconnected he could float through walls. He actually figured out what Einstein was talking about, that physical matter could be stepped through. He figured it out. And he's like a fucking electrician or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, with probably like a drinking issue. Yeah, we can't skip these steps. You know, I think we get really excited about certain things, but we often remove ourselves from our commitment that allows us to grow. And I think that it's very, very difficult. And I would say that if you wanted to know the maturity of a person is based off their ability to be with the current and ideal of their life and to experience it in its totality. For me, I'm at a very tumultuous point in my business. It's a tornado. Every morning I wake up, I walk into it. Fucking debris flying everywhere, rusty nails, screaming. Okay. There's something interesting about somebody that could sit at the bottom. They're not going to take the first air balloon up that's going to pop at the top. They're not going to go for the first elevator and start pressing the 100 floor button. They're like, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. They're not going to look for the first, You know, little Jack Sparrow zip tie to the top. If I cut this, it propels me all the way up there. No, they're going to sit at the bottom. There's something about that. That's a person that really wants to get to know who they are and believes in themselves. There's something interesting about our actions. A person that believes in their future will challenge the integrity of their current relationships, right? Somebody who believes in their business will reevaluate the foundation that they built it on. Somebody who believes in themselves will address all of their dishonesties that remove them from it. Somebody who truly loves themselves will go through the mud of their resentment to get to the pain. That's somebody who loves themselves. So you understand that the action itself is moved through a deeper love in ourselves that we have access to in the present. So we're actually just getting closer to that feeling. And every step that we take, we animate that deeper. And so there's a reason why I talked about the face of the child. Because that's our innocence through all the hurt of life. So in the Golden Army movie, the Hellboy movie that came after, what I found to be very interesting is that they actually for once did this in a movie, where they didn't unwrite the character in the second movie. They didn't make him and the girl break up to get back together. I hate that shit. What ended up happening was the struggles that happen in life when you love somebody. What's the next stage of that love? Creation. And that's manifested in children. So she's pregnant. And of course, he's completely underprepared as a man. And she's afraid to tell him because she wants to see if he's gonna ask her, what's going on? You've been different lately. We haven't been high schoolers anymore. Oh wait, we have to grow up. He still doesn't know that she's pregnant. Him and his homie get drunk, the fish guy. And then the fish guy, who already knew because he could kind of see under the surface, he's very much like an intuitive sorcerer archetype. And he tells him, he's like, oh, she's pregnant. And he goes, she's what? Right? And then the whole drama kind of breaks out from that point. But there's also something very interesting about the character is a demon sent from another dimension to destroy all of mankind. Somehow he's the savior of mankind too. You can't write the story any better than that. He's more human than anybody, and he's a demon. What's that reflective of? He saves the day. He kills this elemental in the streets of New York. And what do they all say? He's the bad guy. And he goes, what the fuck? I just saved your fucking child. And they're like, but you look bad. I go like this, you look bad. Oh, okay. I get how it is. And there was a relational struggle between him and his partner. He kind of liked the fame. He liked that everybody gets to see him. He's finally out in the world. He doesn't need to hide. But his wife, or his girlfriend, the fire girl, she represents the interpersonal relationship with oneself in relationship to the good that you do. And she asks him, am I enough for you? If everybody rejected you, am I enough for you? Of course, from the viewer's perspective, you're like, brother, you have everything. You're the richest man alive if you're enough with her. What do you need to be for the world out there? And is that not also reflective of ourselves? Can we get to those moments of real truth to where we are enough for ourselves? By the way, it's easier than you think. It's simpler than you think. It's not easy. It's like, well, it's quite simple. Okay, I'm going to get to the rage. I'm going to get to the resentment. I'm going to get to the pain. I'm going to mourn the pain. I'm going to grieve the loss of the things that weren't met in my life. I'm going to go ahead and get to the bottom of the needs that I do have. I'm going to start developing a relationship with those needs. And as I start developing a relationship with those needs, I'm in deeper touch with my capacity. And so I'm stronger. I'm clearer. I'm sharper. I have a path. I have a path to walk. My gifts are easily accessible. I have a relationship with my vulnerabilities. And in that, I feel empathy for other people. I'm somehow closer to my capacity for evil. And in that, I can do good. And the closer I get to the pain, the more I return to the innocence of myself, the more I connect with my soul, and in that, the more playful I become. That's an innate truth about every individual, that you are a child. Where is he? Where is he? So in the movie, I'll leave it here because I want to take you guys to another level. He ends up getting stabbed. She has to go ahead and save him and take him to this particular place. And he needs to confront the Golden Army. I won't get into all of those metaphors, but I just want to get into the last part of the movie, which is the most important part of the movie. In the classic sense, he ends up beating the bad guys. And there's a classic Beauty and the Beast moment where, in order to bring him back to life, because he was stabbed in the heart, she has to accept that he's going to be the destroyer of the world. And in that, him being the destroyer of worlds, she also needs to accept the great pain that she's going to experience in choosing to bring him back to life. And so this seraph-like demon with crazy pan-labyrinth hands and multiple eyes on the wings says, knowing that he is going to be the destroyer of mankind and that you are going to experience the most pain, do you choose to bring him back? And in a lot of ways, that was her virtue, which was accepting the reality of every human being to be loved unconditionally. You don't love a person unconditionally by limiting the depth of their capacity for destruction and the pain in relationship to loving someone, right? Unconditional love is like, I'm opening up to the infinite pain of your worst possible creation. I'm opening up to the possibility of that, and in that brings him back to life. I want to wait for Thomas to come back here because I think this is the really important part, which is, do you know just how important it is to be able to experience the child in us again? And there's so much distance between us and that child. And we also start thinking about why is it so important to connect with it? Because we can connect with our children. You know, that there's such a beauty in that being able to see what they reveal about you, and you could take that into the world. You are not less equipped. I know a lot of people like to compare children to being, drowning and then somebody throwing you a child. And you're like, oh, well, I could still swim with one hand, then they throw you another. And you're like, oh, that's how everybody paints it, right? But a person that's connected to himself is given more inspiration in relationship to what he sees about himself and his own children. He's not given another child while he's drowning. No, he's given a plane to soar. He's taken out of the water onto the land. There's the inspiration of his love, and that's his driving force. And you start thinking about, why is it so dangerous to be a disconnected man? Your love counts for nothing. You understand what a form of betrayal that is, Allo? A person that's not connected to their heart, here's their world. What's the heart worth anyways? Love is not what makes a relationship work. You need guys on the internet who could sell you courses, who could show you how that works. It's obligation, it's duty, it's moralism. Then what's love worth, right? What's love worth? Every time I love someone, I slow down. Yeah, that's true. Every time I love someone, I lose things. We have all of these narratives. Every time I love someone, I'm more disconnected from myself. And you start noticing that, like, the word love is like it's like you're confirming a perfect storm. Like there's no room for this love to even grow. You've reduced it to your juvenile understanding of love. There's something about life when we take upon responsibility in relationship to what's most meaningful to us. There's a reason why we do it, because it's a manifestation of our potential in our day-to-day life. If there is no taking upon additional responsibility, you can never see what you are made of. There's a tremendous dissatisfaction in that. And I know so many of us like to just get stuck in the day-to-day struggles of, oh, I don't have the money, or my body is not as healthy as I'd like it to be, or I'm not getting laid as much as I would like. All understandable, reasonable struggles. Yet, you start thinking about something in your life that you need to work towards because it keeps you alive, is knowing the kind of man that you can be. And I think for all of us, when we meet our basic needs, we immediately ask ourselves that question, because now that's the question that's going to allow us to meet our deepest needs. Your juvenile needs speak to a much deeper truth, and we need to meet our needs. We are creatures that seek to meet our needs. We are suckling on a breast, an existential one that nourishes us and strengthens us, and we need that. And the question is what hunger are we seeking to satisfy? You got McDonald's down the street, but you're still hungry. You got a girl that you can go ahead and pay a couple $100 for, but you're still hungry. Where we start noticing the nature of our hunger is deeply divinely inspired. There's more to us. And so when we are often given more responsibility in our life, and if that is in children, it's to mirror that innate truth of ourselves, and it frees us from the weight of any responsibility. Love is a liberator of any weight, any responsibility. And for a person that is willing to take upon responsibility, who has connection to their heart, is willing to become the best version of themselves. They are not seeking responsibility as a means to bear its weight. They have accepted the weight of responsibility, but are liberated from the responsibility because they love it. there's a love in us, there's a heart in us, and there's a capacity in relationship to that heart in us. And so, Thomas, I didn't actually continue the rest of the story, but I kind of veered it back, but I'll turn it back in. Talking about being able to see the face of the child. I recommend you guys watch those movies. I think they're really fun. They're very low pressure movies. You could kind of watch them as you're doing something else, but look, they have sincerity and heart, and they're for kids. They're a kids movie. And I always kind of think about what's a kids movie? It's not something that's I think it hits the right existential notes because it has a truth in it, yet it's written in a level that's kind of goofy, And I love that. I personally love it because it lets you experience the emotional weight of the film. And that's what translates to the children. They kind of fill in the blanks. They don't remember the exact dialogues, but they feel the movie. They feel the sincerity. They feel the humanity. They feel the underlying values, the moral foundation, the relationship to love in relationship to that moral foundation. And she ends up willing to make the sacrifice that all women must be willing to make in relationship to the love that they're willing to give to that man. That in loving him, I open up to the pain of the worst possible manifestation of him. And that he's still worth living. I'm willing to play that risk, to take that chance, so I can get another day with this man. That's her virtue. So at the end of the movie, they all realize that they're done working for this organization. They see Jeffrey Tambor's character at the end of it, and they're like, I quit. And he walks out. And he's walking around with his now wife. And he's talking to her about man, I can't wait for the new kid. And I found there's something so beautiful about his enthusiasm for the child. Somebody who's felt that his whole life he never really had a family. His father was never really his father, but now he's creating it in its truthful sense. And I think that the metaphor for him not really having a father, because in a lot of ways is our disconnect from our own family. And so sometimes, even the father that we have in our life is not actually our family. Yet it's truthful about our foundation and who we are, and he can't forget that. That was the first film where he really binds himself to the cross, right? The necklace that his father would wear. Because his father was a pastor, but also a psychologist and a scientist. And he's talking about with his wife how much he wants it, just hey, we should get a countryside house. And that countryside house, we gotta have a big backyard so that he can play in. And she goes, he? And he goes, what do you mean he? She goes like this. She puts up 2. And in that moment, she gestures to him that there's twins. And the last scene of the movie is a pause on his face. That somehow this man from hell, there's a child in him, and he's more alive than he's ever been. I saw that, and for me, it was a recognition that somehow life fortifies us in relationship to that love. And the beauty of life is not that we've become strong, that we haven't lost the parts of us that love deepest in relationship to our strength. As the final scene of the movie is just to see his face. And in that final scene, it was the face of the young boy again. When life didn't just manifest your dreams of having a child, but it was better than you possibly could have imagined. You didn't just have one, you had 2. There's gonna be twins. And for me, when I saw that, I'm a twin myself, but there was that moment of recognizing that's not gone in me. That's not gone in me. The child can experience the beauty of life. The father makes sure to protect that in every individual so we do not lose our ability to experience its beauty. That final scene of the movie, seeing his face and seeing the child shine through, I got to see the face of my child once again too. There's something very beautiful about, we lose those moments of innocence in our life, right? We become a con artist to other people. Using my metaphor in a lot of ways, a performer, we have to be something to other people. We have to, harden our hearts. For me, being able to see the final scene of that and to see the childlike face on it. By the way, he's 58 years old in the movie, but you even got to see the face of the child of the actor and the character he was playing. And then it was resorted back in time, and it made me really consider, and I wrote something in relationship to that scene. It was really more metaphorical of the beauty of life. And it goes a little like this. There's a child in all of us. We just don't get to see his face much. You can see his face in those moments of fulfillment. It's beyond joy. It's in our deepest moments of love. We play our wildest dreams before our eyes, and just when you thought it couldn't get any better, it does. Where there's a new child, there's a father becoming a child again. And I think there's something very, very powerful about a man's connection to life and how much he loves life in relationship to his children. And that is the driving force of his life. And in that, he becomes a child again. Disconnected people can't see the reality in front of them. They're blindfolded. Their hearts are rocks. And then they talk about how these things are there and they just follow the script that they were given. Every father needs to sound like this and every mother needs to sound like that and every hardworking dad needs to say good old ball and chain and every sexless, unhealthy woman needs to be like, don't get married until you're 45, you know? I think that the movie really takes our humanity and allows it to be seen in its truest sense. You know, that we're going to be misunderstood in relationship to our pursuit of good. We all feel like we don't belong to some extent. And if we have the strength necessary to believe that we are enough to ourselves and that we are going to take that innate goodness out there, the beauty of life isn't just as good as your dreams. It's better than you could have imagined. And in those moments, you realize why faith was worth it and why you choose faith. Because that's where you get to see the face of the child again. And in that flicker where you get to see the face of the child, your ancestors stand beside you holding your hand like you were the young child that you never got to be. You guys, why is it so important to be back in paradise? You know, why do we need to feel what it's like to be a child again? Why do we need a childhood? Why is Neverland so important for us to at least know exists? And why is it essential for every person, even Wendy's character, who, by the way, she became a mother at way too young of an age. Yet she at least had the wisdom to understand that Neverland did show her she can fly. And she could fly in relationship to the responsibility of her life, not run away from it. These are all metaphors for being able to take our spirit, a very playful spirit in us, a spirit in us that reveals to us the natural paradise of life. You know, when you're looking for a partner, you're looking for someone you could play with. A playmate. You know, and we become so removed from the face of that child, and we lose the face of that child, especially when we become removed from our innocence and purity. You start thinking about a demon from hell, there's nothing more dark and impure, right? But somehow, the film was able to articulate one of the most powerful truths in my life, which is, if you were aware of our capacity for evil, you would see everyone as a monster. And the truth is, I do. What I got to see in this movie and what it showed me is that we are not just created in that. There is a deeper image of ourselves that is pure and innocent. That is the child. So you have an angry child, Thomas. An angry child, Allah. I promise you want to see his face. I think we often look at innocence as weakness, and it's a big confusion we have. Innocence is the part of ourselves worth living for. It's the untouched spirit of ourselves that lives on forever. I've got to feel that again, just in little blips of it. It was that night where I was seriously mourning my grandmother. I missed her a lot. I missed her a lot because I knew her as a child. I knew how she took care of me. I knew what she saw in me. There was a little boy. I miss that little boy more than anything. I miss her more than anything. She brought me closer to that truth of myself, that innocence I thought I lost. And through my greatest grief, I was returned to that truth. I was returned to the truth of myself. I needed that grief. I needed that hatred. I needed that anger. I needed that resentment. I needed all of these frustrations. I needed the hurt. I needed to know how valuable this is to live with. I was removed from my friend of mine, the one that I played with so deeply for so long. And I guys could show you a video of us playing Halo 2 together. I was unemployed and I'm still wearing a suit. You guys will really like it. And I'm thinking about the full circle of my life. You know, the first person I shot content with was my older brother. He's now my media manager. The first person that helped me go viral, he reached out to me and said he wants to work for my business. I think his agreement is ridiculous. He's not going to get 20% of the uplift until he starts showing me what he's capable of doing. the events that I used to speak in association to, well, I just recently spoke at those events in association to it, and they're not the same events anymore. Oh, I know I'm back at the bottom, I'm back at the bottom, but I'm not the same man. And so I get to make a deeper connection with the innate truth of what allows me to grow. And only here can I make these connections with my soul. Only here. And so it's very interesting to be able to realize, like, oh my God, I'm back at the same point. What is it speaking to me? Because I honestly feel that I need to spend more time here to get closer to that. And in that closeness, a deeper connection with it. And then not only that, the friend that inspired me to start my business, we're friends again. We're real friends again. And that showed me something, that the closer you get to your soul, your spirit, your essence, which is why it's important to get to rage and pain. Those things separate you from it. They're not problems. Remember, they're not problems. They're process, necessary process. In fact, they're not problems. They're the solution. And I'm feeling that playfulness again. That. And it's funny, you know what my old friend called and told me? He's like, Naftali, I lost Neverland. I became rageful and hurt and burdened by grief. And I said, hey man, here we are. It never left. And I realized that it's hard to get to our hurt. It's hard to get to our pain because in that we have to recognize a reality that removed us from it. Does that sound fair? Somehow, recognizing what removed us from that reality is what brings us even closer, fortifies us even deeper, stitches us even tighter to the truth of ourselves, our deepest expressions, our most sincere innocence and purity. Like, I hope you understand something, guys, is that the deepest innocence and purity is in the devil man, Hellboy. That exists in every single one of you. We all like to think that without that part of ourselves, that this purity can exist. No, it's with all of the monster you are. It's confirmation to your innocence. And that can never be taken. These are the lies that the traumas tell us. These things are gone. Same thing for you, Thomas. Your innocence of the 7-year-old. You were you. You're a natural born leader. For you, Allo, I think about your childhood experiences and it's just static, right? That's not a problem. It just means you're not ready for it. There's more anger and pain in relationship to what's immediate in your life, right? A divorce, good place to start. That's going to mirror a lot of the echoes of your childhood hurt, yeah? And I only want you to start there. For you, that's your path. You got to focus on the divorce. How do I know? You're literally in two places right now. Your parents' home and your ex-wife's house. I can tell you have two options. You face the shit in the divorce by being in your parents' house. And then in that could face the things in your own home. This is going to open your heart up because your heart's really, really closed. There's kind of a minimalistic existence. Kind of prey off whatever you need from others. Utilize your capacity only towards your own detriment. Where you become slowly reduced and reduced and reduced until you have nothing left to give anybody. And then, of course, you have to kind of manipulate all of them to give you whatever they have left. The alternative, well, it's facing a lot of pain, a lot of anger, a lot of sorrow. So the reason why it's important to experience the emotional truths of our life is, we can start moving through these things. And by the way, we move through them quite fast. Just as a willingness to accept them, that they exist in ourselves. So, Thomas, I wanted to go back to you. Knowing that that's what you're really going to be returning to, that the face of the child, being able to see it again. I mean, for me, I was bawling at the end of the movie. I saw the message of it. What's the worst that could happen if you accepted the rage, the hurt, the pain? I want to hear the superstitions.
Everyone will leave. Unlovable.
Yeah.
there's like a fear that I'll get that reflected back to me and I won't be able to take it.
Well done. I hope you know it's already being reflected back to you. I don't know if you're familiar with your ex relationship. I don't know if you're familiar with how angry she was, how much pain she was in, how misunderstood she felt. It's already being mirrored back to you. I noticed something interesting about whenever we address things on a conscious level, the truth of those experiences are mirrored back to you. If anything, you aren't mirrored back somebody who's going to hit you with the same thing. That will only happen if you're poorly connected with what I'm telling you. Does that make sense? Like you're going to need an opposing force to get you closer to it. Remember, you don't help kids who've been bullied by taking them out of schools where there's no bullies, because there's always going to be bullies. You only help a kid who gets bullied by fortifying him, strengthening him to face bullies, because there will always be bullies. You got to give him the tools. So he needs the bully. And how does he help that? Bully the bully. Because he can't be removed from that innate capacity. Yeah?
I realize, I think about, well, for one, she called me yesterday. And that kind of sent me into a little bit of a spiral.
Oh, she called you yesterday?
I kind of realized that I'm like, yeah, she called me yesterday about a mutual client that we have.
Yeah.
And she basically, she was like, yeah, this guy's credit is still fucked, right? And I said, yeah. She's like, because he wanted to go do a tour. And so she's like, I'm worried that he's just trying to use this as a tour to hang out or and she'd already made a comment about how this guy was hot and how she looks at hot guys and now she thinks there's something wrong with them.
You know what I like about this? It's like you have a wound and the wound hasn't been really healed because there's still a fucking piece in it and that piece has her name on it. And what's happening is that it's just getting dragged a little bit deeper and the wound's getting a little bit bigger as she's doing that. It's like she's wiggling around this blade and this chasm in your left rib.
Yeah, which I was like, are you doing this unconsciously or
yes,
consciously?
Because she's incredibly angry and she's in a lot of pain and she doesn't know how to communicate any of that pain or hurt, and so this is the best she got. And sometimes you like to play Bambi, like as if you're any less angry. You're not. You're fucking furious. You're fucking furious. Oh my God, you're furious, right? Okay, why is it important to recognize your anger? Because you could see yourself in your pain. And you could also start recognizing where the pain is. It's not just her doing it. Dude, there was a spearhead in your fucking rib. And that's what, and then she was like, would you call me, it hurt? And you're like, yes, but the call has got nothing to do with the fact that there's a hand-sized piece of metal in you. And by the way, you could say these calls that you're having with her are like these subtle attachments, by the way, to experience your pain. Have you noticed that? You can't let her go. She can't let you go. You guys both become the metaphorical punching bag, the space to experience that hurt. I mean, you just want to distance yourself from it. She's doing the same thing with aggression. It's funny, man. Just brought her up and there she is. You have a lot of shame around sharing that too. You know, you could tell me that she's still part of your life.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I also realized that I'll think about her and I'll recognize, she's got a lot of pain and anger and all these things. And I'm like, I put myself on a pedestal, I don't have those. When I think
well
about
done,
it, I'm like,
well
I
done,
have that so much.
well done. That's it. That's all you needed to do. What you do is you do altruism as a way to protect yourself from being seen as the furious bad guy. And you take the hits like a man. It's like, no, there's nothing masculine about that, you coward. You're taking the hits because you're afraid of actually throwing back the punches. I'm a man. I take the beating. Oh, really?
Yes.
You coward?
Yes.
In the name of masculinity? Don't even get me started on how much of a fraudulent paradigm that is. So I like this. I like that. You're like, yeah, she's just fucking angry and pain. I just have to understand her. You're such a son of a bitch, dude. But you see, what that really is glorified dismissal of your own pain, because it never was something that was considered, or you were never even really safe with the expression of your own anger. You were always prescribed, never really considered, not emotionally, and look, what do you think you're going to do now? You're not going to consider yourself, and you're going to usually prescribe yourself based off things. You have a new adopted way to avoid your own pain and hurt. Altruism. It's what happens when people start feeling their hurts. They feel like victims. And they're like, what? We've all been hurt, number one. Number two, are you aware of where you have been a victim? No? Okay. So you're most likely being a victim in areas you are not. Man, yeah, you're fucking furious, dude. But do you even see, it's not something you really want to consider. I want to know why not. Noticing that this angry, hurt child is there, and that he's still very much here. And it's mirrored in your ex-girlfriend. And this explains why you're so deeply attached to her, even though you're not intimate with each other. She's still part of your life. It's almost like she's like the only way you could experience yourself. How could you move on from somebody that you're so deeply attached to? That's the basis of an attachment, by the way. Someone that allows you to experience yourself. You are under the belief that they have given you access to you. No, you've just given them the ability to do that. It's like they have nothing to do with it. They never did.
That is, nail on the head for sure. Yeah, it's like an addiction of like needing to feel that.
Man, of course. What do you mean it's an addiction? It's who you are. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Even the words you're saying it, like addiction, what is it? You're not an addict. This is who you are. And by the way, you could say that because you shame that part of you that has been hurt, that can be hurt, that is angry, and is a victim to experiences in his life, and has been. You are not currently a victim, you have been one. Well, there's an importance of that. Why? Because you have human vulnerabilities. Like, is there any virtue to your own self-expression if they haven't been hurt? And you haven't been on the other side of the power exchange? Like, you don't know the value of that kind of expression. People say, I know the value of saying the truth. I say the truth no matter what. And it's like, how many friends have you lost since you said the truth? 0? Then you probably haven't said the truth. How many times have you questioned your own actions in relationship to things that you said that you believed were right? 0? Then don't talk about the truth, because whenever I talk about the truth, I start looking around and I'm like, I'm going to lose a lot of people right now. And this ain't going to come out right. And look, I do my due diligence to make sure that I can communicate appropriately, but I'll tell you, man, that's got nothing to do with whether people are going to stay or leave. You could say the truth and they could hear it the way that they want to hear it, but that still doesn't change what reality is. You could have an own recording of what you said, and people could still hear what they want to hear. Isn't that frustrating? Well, you better be really connected to what you're expressing then. So I feel like for you, this is a really, it's not an addiction. It's part of who you are. But you are right, Thomas. It feels like an addiction. How can you be living without a part of yourself? And let's just say the only person that allows you to experience that is her. You will never let her go. And you will find a very elaborate way to preserve your identity while still being with her. Because she has a part of you.
Yeah, and like, even my like immediate response wants to be like, yeah, she's doing the same thing. And
it doesn't really matter if she is or she isn't.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't really matter. But even in saying that, it's like wanting to hold on even more. Like, I'm saying that because I want to hold on and like.
I want you to
like,
know that the more we can recognize this hurt and this pain is being mirrored to you, and it's something that you're refusing to accept is true about you because you feel that that part of you will push people away and cannot be loved, that's exactly what you are doing. The thing that you said you're
yeah,
afraid of happening is exactly what's happening unconsciously. And then you're feeling more shame for that part of you. And then the more shame you feel for something that you don't associate to, the more you bury it.
yeah, for sure. I was talking to this girl the other day, and she was like, tell me something wild about you." And I like immediately was about to be like, "Well, I'm still in love with my ex-girlfriend," but I just like
I like
resorted
that.
to
I like that.
I resorted to I still own a house with my ex-girlfriend, and like so I just like kind of subdued it a little
Yeah,
bit.
you suppressed it. You suppressed it. There's better.
Yeah,
You didn't repress it completely, but you put a silencer on that bad boy.
exactly.
And by the way, here's the thing. Let's be real. Pay attention. You're going to start going, honestly, I'm committed to something else here, not so much getting laid tonight, but being a more truthful person. I want to start again. Those are the moments where you evolve. But you can't get there unless unless you caught yourself. Where there's like your relative consciousness looking at you going like, Thomas, you really dropped the ball there. And you go, yep, I know I dropped the ball. I saw what I did. I slapped it on a fucking suppressor on that HK-45 and I shot dead center and I hit the head. And you go, you know that wasn't the real truth. That is not the craziest thing. And you go, yes, I know. And he goes, good. What's going to end up happening are your values, the things that you've adopted here, are going to start kicking in. And you're going to be like, look, you know, I said the whole thing about still buying a house with my ex. The reality is I'm still in love with her. And there's a lot of things that I'm working on in my life because I don't think that my love for her is just because of the relationship and things that we shared intimately. I feel like it's because I've left a part, I could only experience a part of myself through her. And that's my rage,
Yeah, I
that's
think
my pain, that's my hurt. Now that doesn't just open the conversation up. That gets her wet. It does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think it's a lot of like the dark nature that like I could experience with myself there.
I mean, is a lot of anger you could have experienced there, and it was expressed in a lot of your passion. Yeah. It was also expressed in your dysfunctions, and that's usually the areas where you guys could heal. And yeah, you have to start thinking, let's get out of the dark nature conversation for you for a second, because it's not your issue right now. No, your issue right now has a lot to do with your vulnerabilities and how you can be hurt. You don't like being a child. And you're removed from all things that are childlike, the face of the child. I think it's really important for you to recognize, hey, I need to accept my anger, rage, and hurt. I need to connect with it. You don't need to analyze where it's coming from. And I think that's a big mistake that a lot of us make. We need to be like, it's because my mother, it's because my father. Hey, it will come up 4K. It will come up 4 fucking K. You'll know. You'll know. And so you can get to some journaling. I think that's going to really help you out. Being able to write some of those things out. Just be able to associate more to the emotion, and in that a lot of the pain. A lot of your ex-girlfriend will come up. And then you might even start honoring your pain in relationship to that, and you'll set the appropriate boundaries to it too. Have you ever noticed that people that don't allow themselves to be angry with other people that have hurt them still keep those people in their life? Because what they're doing, every time they get hurt, they go like this: can't lose the person, because if I lose the person, I lose myself. It's part of what you call, that's how the identity presents. It's self-identity preservation. So yeah, you cannot leave a person that allows you to experience a part of yourself. I like that. You cannot leave a person that allows you to experience a part of yourself. I think that's a good one. You cannot leave a person that allows you to experience a part of yourself. Okay. All right. Well, I'm open to what you guys have to share here because there's a lot of new things coming up. Ala, what about you? Because I focused a lot on Thomas today, but I'm kind of noticing that you guys are like, you're in the same ballpark. you know?
Yeah. So, first of all, like, I just wanted to point it out, like, you were in a completely different place today as well.
Tell me about it. What did you notice?
Like, more connected to your heart, like talking from a softer place, in a sense, like from a more feminine place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean?
Thank you so much. That's a big compliment. It took me a lot to do it. I had to get through a lot of. There was so much resistance on Tuesday, man. You know, like, I'm not just trying to show you me at my best. I'm trying to show you me at my worst and at my best, and they're both good. This wouldn't exist if I didn't have Tuesday. You know, you wouldn't have even been able to feel that. You know, like, I don't judge Tuesday. I needed Tuesday. I embrace Tuesday. I love Tuesday. As much as I love today. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you sharing that. That's a big compliment. It's a really big compliment, especially coming from you. It means we're moving mountains.
Yeah. Like, yeah, when you were talking about, like, when you were talking to Thomas, like, about the childhood, so kind of like all that was going, like, inside my own head, in front of my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just everything, like, all of it, most of it was so relatable.
Amazing.
Today.
Thank you.
Lots of, yeah, just sadness and grief, and, like, yeah, you say you brought up, like, the divorce point, and I get it. I get the resistance as well. I need to, yeah, deal with that, but just I'm recognizing the more recent connections. There's still, like, a lot of grief, and, like, just as Thomas was, like, everything Thomas was just what you guys were just talking about. There's a lot there.
There's a lot there, yeah. And I want you to think of reconnecting with yourself as opening your eyes. You know, like, even in my business, having people on the front line that are blind, what's it worth? It's like, you better have eyes if you're going to be the guy with the periscope at the top of the fucking boat, all right? So you could see a lot of iceberg. So this is, I think, really important for you, is that we often don't look at emotions as something that increase our awareness, but inconvenience our life. Yes, they inconvenience your dishonest life. They bring you closer to the truth of yourself. That's the nature of the sacrifice you're willing to make here. Like, why is it when I reevaluated the foundation of my business that it was like, I came in with something true? What was that truth? Me. I brought my weight to the chair, my full weight to the chair, because then I could sit. Then it supports me, right? And so what do you think happened? It's like, okay, I actually haven't been fully sitting on the chair. What does that mean? Metaphorical for sitting in yourself, the truth of you. There's weight to you, gravity to you. And then I was like, I mean, okay, what's the chair? Well, the things that allow me to stand up in my life. My business is a perfect example. It's an extension of me. It's the grounding I have, the thing that allows the tree to grow. And I'm like, well, I actually believe in giving this thing the full weight now. I'm going to test it. I said it, 3 of the fucking legs break, right? Totally cool. I know my weight. Does that make sense? And I also know what I need. Those 2 things, by the way, knowing what we need, there's a real kindness in the universe. I want to make this very clear, guys, before you go. Just being able to feel the things that you need without negotiating with them is the embodiment of your dream. It is that powerful. It's the extent of your desires, and it is the experience of your dream in the bottom of the pit. That person's a believer. I promise you, to have that in your life, I mean, you have the things that can never be taken away from you, okay? We all feel that we need that, especially those that struggle with loss, is that we need to come down to a deeper truth of what cannot be taken was never ours to begin with. And so we're really connecting with that truth. I'm connecting with that truth. I'm recognizing, like, am I supported? Is there a divine support? Well, here's the thing. I've had to work with a lot of my anger and frustration and pain around not being supported. Where's that all coming up? Right now. Great. Now that I know how to experience and process these things, I'm not bypassing them getting to divine support. Because fuck divine support. I can't even get a person to do the thing that I asked them to do that I pay them for. What, is God going to come down here and inspire them? Right? No, and it's like, wait 1 second. I'm mad. I'm angry. I'm hurt. I've put so much into these people. I've put so much into not only these people before then. Right? And then now I'm experiencing the pain. And by the way, somehow in that pain, there's like a clarity. You're brought closer to reality. And then I was like, why did I ever sit in the chair to test the weight? Because I believed that there is divine support, or else I never would have sat on it. So to sometimes test the things in our life that would let the current fantasy fall apart, just the ability to tap that, just the touch itself, the conscious effort to do that is recognition that there is support beyond it. You guys do not investigate things about yourself that you do not believe can be transformed. Every single one of you are doing that, and God bless you all for it. Thank you, Olo. Thank you, Thomas. I gotta hop out. You guys are awesome. Bye-bye.